Hello everyone. I'm going a bit early with the weekly preview this week. It's British Championships time at the weekend, which are trials for the World Championships as well, and it's complicated to say the least. I've got my notes. I've been through it all. Caveat here: this is as I understand things and my observations. There are likely to be some different interpretations by people, and maybe, well, certainly changes through the next few days before we even get to the championships. People withdrawing, etc. So it's as at Monday, the 3rd of July, I'm doing this, and I'm looking at the British Champs, 8th and 9th of July. There's no Diamond League this weekend. One might want to keep an eye on the USA Championships in Eugene, Oregon, between the 6th and the 9th of July. Some terrific races going on over there. I can't go into all of that as well. It'd be an extremely long video because this is going to be quite detailed as it is. But this hopefully will give everyone an insight into what I've managed to find out or what I observe. And as I say, it's not straightforward. Again, I don't think our sport really does itself any favours, making it this complicated for those that are, thoroughly invested in the sport, let alone those that aren't. So I wouldn't envy being a commentator, British Champs, trying to explain all this, but here we go. One aside, looking at the forecast for the weekend in Manchester, where the championships are being held, 21 to 23 degrees across Saturday and Sunday. It looks quite breezy, could be quite breezy, light rain at times, so not perfect conditions. So, but for things like the 5,000 metres, middle of the afternoon, bearable, you would say. You can see a list of the accepted entries, which is, I presume, pretty live and going to be updated throughout the week on the British Athletics site. If you go to the UK Championships area on the website, you can then go to athlete information and see the invites and acceptances for each event. I've had a look on the TV. Can't find much on BBC Sport website. Can't see much on Sky through what's on the TV through BBC over the weekend. I imagine it will be on British Athletics TV, YouTube at least, and maybe on the iPlayer. I don't know. I haven't seen too much about it as yet, but keep an eye out on that. But British Athletics TV on YouTube should be a good bet to at least see the championships. Doesn't seem to be on BBC. Clash with Wimbledon this year, so it makes it really difficult. As far as rankings and information is concerned, worth looking at the World Athletics Road to Budapest 23 rankings. Just Google that and you'll find it, and it'll give you a bit more information if you're really interested. But yeah, as I say, it's quite difficult to understand it all. As far as Great Britain are concerned, there's a selection policy published. It was updated in June sometime. I don't know what the changes were. So, yeah, they don't actually highlight that. They just slip in these changes. So no idea what the changes were in June, but that's the latest selection policy. There's meetings on the 10th of July, which is straight after the championships pretty much, and the 24th of July, a couple of weeks later. So there's a window there for some who have performed well at the championships to then go and get a qualifying time subsequently. So slightly different than it can be has been in the past. First of all, any 2022 World Champions or Diamond League champions, are automatically invited and can take part. So people like Jake Whiteman could, in theory, do the World Championships, an extra place to GB. Come on to that in a second. If you were to get a standard, you have to run the time after 31st of July 2022 through to 23rd of July 2023, hence the selection meeting the following day. So the window, less than a year it was, and it was back end of last season. So again, that affected some of the performances from last season. You can get selected if you get an invite through the world rankings, and then UK athletics have some standards that you then have to achieve. Unfortunately, all the distance events, apart from the men's steeplechase, they won't be accepting invitations, apparently. That's what the policy says. And the men's steeplechase is 8:18.5 is the UK standard. So unless you've done that and you get a ranking invitation, you shouldn't be selected. Qualifying times just quickly, men and women, 800, 144.7, 159.8. The 1500 is 334.2 or 351 mile for the men, and 403.5, 422 mile for the women. 5000, 1307 and 1457. You can do that on the road or track. And the steeplechase 8:15 and 9:23. But as I say, there is a slightly slower men's steeplechase qualifying time for the men. So come to the first selection meeting. What they're going to do, they're going to pick the top two at the trials, providing they've hit the qualifying time in that period that I stated. Then we go to round two, which will include any medalists from World Champs 2022 or 2021 Olympic Games. Could be included, and that includes the likes of Josh Kerr, who got a bronze medal in the Olympics, of course. So come on to that again in a moment. Then we go to round three, anybody who subsequently gets the standard after the trials, and then they deal with any of the invitations, as I've mentioned. Again, pretty much all the distance events don't come into consideration for some reason or other. So you could be really highly ranked, not get the qualifying time, get an invite, and still not go and finish in the top or win the trial even. So yeah, could be messy. So let's go on to the men's 800. 56 places at the World Championships available. 19 have been filled or can be filled by people that have already run the qualifying standard of 144.7. The Brits that have got that are Jake Whiteman and Carl Langford. Jake has been struggling with injury. Carl has only ran that last year, but he's got it. There's 5 others in the top 56 world rankings, but that's probably irrelevant. And yet 9 in the UK this year have run 145 something. So those that have entered and have run 145 something are surnames: Bizimana, Bottrell, Giles, Hussey, Patterson, Randolph, Sharman Yule and Rowden. Those that haven't run 145 but are entered include Oliver Dustin, Charlie Grice, Josh Kerr, Carl Langford, or he's got the standard from last year, Guy Learmonth, Jake Whiteman, possibly injured, and Jamie Webb. So this is going to be a carver and probably the most intriguing event of the championships from a distance point of view. There's 37 entries on the list, so that could be 4 heats, I think, after a few withdrawals. And in the past, they've had the four winners and the 4 fastest go to the final. Take that lot that I've mentioned. Imagine having to win your heat. It's going to be really, really difficult. The only absentee not entered is Neil Gorley, who's entered for the 1500. Do you want me to do predictions? I don't like doing predictions, don't like upsetting people. I might go with Elliot Giles and Ben Patterson's top 2. But it could be a whole host of them there that could get in there. All great athletes. And we shall see. Women's 800, perhaps not quite so loaded, but there's still 56 places go to the World Championships. 34 have already got the qualifying standard of 159.8. Those in the UK got it: Hodgkinson, Muir, Reiki, Ali Baker, Katie Snowden, Alex Bell. Erin Wallace did run inside the standard, but there was a male pacemaker at Watford, so that doesn't count. Izzy Boffey is ranked 18th on the world rankings, but hasn't got the qualifying time. There's 6 who've run sub 2 in 2023. Those entered that have run sub 2, Baker, Bell, Hodgkinson, Abby Ives, Gemma Reekie, Reve Walcott-Nolan and Erin Wallace. And there's others like Kai Malanga and Izzy Buffy that I've mentioned that have been entered. Not entered, Laura Muir, Katie Snowden, so they're not in there. There's 32 on the list to race. Again, could be 3 or 4 heats, which makes a big difference, because if it's 3 heats, it's likely to be the first 2 and 2 fastest losers. If it's 4, it's like the men's, just the winner and 4 fastest losers. So, yeah, we'll be watching out for what the officials decide in terms of number of qualifiers, or whether they take the World Champs side of things and go with if you've got 4 heats, you just take the first 2 and be done with it. Especially if it's windy, weather not so good. It is a bit of a lottery when it comes to fastest losers qualifying. My prediction, Hodgkinson 1, Reekie 2. That's what I'd go for. Go on to the men's 1500, 56 places available. 39 have been of people have got their qualifying time of 3:34.2, including Whiteman Kerr, Jake Hayward, Neil Gurley, Elliot Giles, Matt Stoner, George Mills. Adam Fox, 47th ranked. He's run 3:35 recently, really on the up and doing fantastically well. Entered is 5 sub 3:34. I'm not sure about Jake Hayward and Jake Whiteman, of course. That's the doubts on injuries. Jake Hayward doesn't race this year. We've got Giles, Gurley, Hayward, Mills and Stoner all entered, and others like Copeland, Fogg, Grice, James West entered, although I think he's doing the 5,000. And not entered Jake Whiteman. And not entered Josh Kerr, which is a real spanner in the works. So Josh Kerr's entered in the 8. So what's going to happen if 3 of those guys run really well and have the standard? Really difficult. Josh is relying on the third of the spots outside Jake Whiteman as world champion. So difficult one. My prediction, what's Elliot Giles going to run? What a dilemma for his coach. He's running so well at 1500, but he's been really focused on the 800 over recent years. Hasn't got the standard in the 8, but he has in the 15. He might well go for the 15. If he does, I could see it being Gurley, Giles, Stoner perhaps, but again, another lottery, another fascinating race. Women's 1500, 56 places at the World Champs. 29 have got the qualifying standard of 4:03.5. The Brits have got it. Laura Muir, Katie Snowden, Melissa Courtney-Bryant and Gemma Reekie. On the rankings, Ellie Baker's just outside the qualifying time with 4:03.95. She's 26th in the world though. But she wouldn't go. She'd be relying on getting in the 800 or getting the 1500 standard after the championships, or in the championships, which is a long shot. So entered for the 15, we've got Courtney-Bryant, Muir and Snowden. Got the qualifying and the likes of Ellie Baker, Sarah McDonald, Reve Walcott-Nolan, who haven't got the standard. Not entered actually is Gemma Reekie. She's only in the 8. My prediction, I'd go Laura Muir, Courtney-Bryant, because she's running extremely well at the moment and actually beat Laura Muir in Stockholm on Sunday. The 5,000 metres, 42 qualify for the World Champs, or will go and fill the places at the World Champs. 24 have the qualifying time of 13:07. No Brits have got that or are in the top 42 in the world. Jack Rhodes, the highest ranked at 52nd, but again, he wouldn't get an invite. So I'm not quite sure. We could end up with no representatives at the World Championships quite easily. Those that have run sub 13:20 this year are Neil Gourley, Johnny Davis, George Mills. Jack Rose actually ran 13:20 exactly. George Mills is entered for the 1500. Others under 13:30, Charles Hicks, Charlie Wheeler and Ian Crowe-Wright. Entered for the championships are Emile Caresse, who ran 13:26 a couple of years ago. Very aggressive runner, very fit, showed that in a 3000 at the weekend. Got Ian Crowe-Wright, Johnny Davis, Paddy Devo, who's not raced since a cross country in the States in December. So unknown form there. Charlie Hicks, Tom Mortimer on his day can be really good. Jack Rowe, James West, Charlie Wheeler. If you knew they were all fit, it might be different, but I'd probably go, I've written down when I did this, Charles Hicks, Emile Caresse, but could be completely different, and I might feel different in a few days' time. 5,000 metres for women, same thing. 42 go to the championships. Half of those spaces could be filled already with people who've got the qualifying time. That's 21. Have run 14:57 or quicker. Eilish McColgan, Emilie-Louise Markov and Laura Muir have got the Brits that have got the qualifying time. Rankings wise, Hannah Nuttall's 20th in the world. Kelly Thacker is 24th. Won't get an invite unless they've run the qualifying time. Those that run sub 15 in 2023, Laura Muir and Sarah Inglis did it indoors, ran 14:59. She's not entered actually for the championships at the weekend. Others that are under 15:30, Jess Warner-Judd, Melissa Courtney-Bryant, Hannah Nuttall, Eloise Walker, Kelly Thackeray and Amy-Eloise Markov. That's this year's rankings. But those that have entered are only Courtney Bryant, Markov and Warner-Judd. Then you've got Abby Donnelly, Hannah Nuttall and Kelly Thackeray. Not entered, English as I mentioned, Laura Muir, Eloise Walker not entered, so discount them. So my prediction, I think Courtney Bryant might do the 1500 if she's already got the qualifying time for the World Champs. And I would go with Markov and Judd for the British Champs positions top 2. And then we come to the 2 steeplechases. So for some reason, UK Athletics have deemed it that it's one of the events they might accept a world rankings based invitation for, but still they're stating you've got to run 8:18.50. Nobody's run that this year. The fastest 2 in the country are Zach Seddon and Will Battersill. They're actually on the world rankings ranked 27th and 30th, so they could get an invite but haven't got the UK standard. They're the only 2 that have currently run sub 8:30 this year as well. Mark Pierce and Jermaine Coleman have run 8:36 quicker. Coleman ran 2 in May. Entered, those are the 4 really that have entered and have got times that stack up that can be competitive. Based on what I've seen, no, you go for Zach Seddon to win from Will Battersill, with maybe Jermaine Coleman breaking in there as well. Mark Pierce at his best, he'd be in the mix as well. So you never know how it might go on the day. Women's steeplechase is a strange one. There's only 6 people have accepted entries for it. And there's only one who's run reasonably fast this year, gone sub 10, and that's Yasmin Ostrich, who's been based in the States. 36 go to the World Champs, 20 have got the qualifying time of 9:23. Lizzie Bird's the only Brit who's got it. Amy Pratt is ranked 23rd, but she's only run 9:28 this year so far. So she's got to improve by 5 seconds to guarantee a slot. And we've got Thorner, Grice and Ostrich also in the mix there. So Amy Pratt's not actually entered in anything, so I'm not quite sure what's going on there. And yeah, that's wide open. But yeah, a couple of run fast in America. Will they be able to carry their form over? Weird one. you'd have to go perhaps for Yasmin Ostrich to win from the 6 that are going. So that's it. So you've got the sublime to the ridiculous in terms of all the distance running events. That's quite a long preview. Hope I didn't rattle on too long. Hope it made sense to most of you, because it takes some thinking through, but fascinating. Should be really competitive, and certainly in some of those events, with quite a lot on the line, not just a British title. Hope you enjoy it. Cheerio.